Welcome back to AM Northwest. You know, many schools are making their halls and classrooms smartphone free for the upcoming school year. Here to share the benefits and drawbacks, as well as ways we can support teens during this transition, we welcome back the author of Device, Balancing Life and Technology in a Digital World, psychologist Dr. Doreen Dodgen-Magee. Good to see you again. It's been a while.
So good to see you.
This is kind of interesting about this trend for classrooms to do this now, going smartphone free. So what do you think precipitated that? What caused that?
Well,
what's the thinking behind it?
School districts around the world have been doing this for a while, in particular in European countries. And in Norway, we now have some really good research that shows that once the adjustment is made, students actually really love it. We also see declines in bullying behavior, and we see increases in academic markers of success, like grades, the ability to focus. So there's some good evidence that this is a really good plan.
I have friends who are teachers, and I've heard them complain you can't get that student's attention when their phone is with them.
Yeah.
Even if they're supposed to keep it in their backpack or whatever, it comes out no matter what, right?
Well, yes, and the problem is that even if they don't have their phones, and oftentimes, especially when they don't have their phones, they experience anxiety, because actually the way in which we use our smartphones and the way in which we scroll through our days impacts brain development. If we never expose the brain to boredom, quiet, stillness, just one thing at a time, we literally kind of prune off the wiring in the prefrontal cortex, which allows us to focus. So it isn't just behavioral, it's literally that we've created a generation that really has less proclivity to be able to focus on one thing at a time.
So you must believe that it's a good idea for students to be putting away their phones. I don't know if it's in the locker or in a bag that's kept at the front.
I do. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a difficult transition. You know, we want the best for our students, and this research that I talked about really does show that over time, students end up loving this. They feel like they're more emotionally regulated. They actually, in the long run, feel less anxiety. They feel like they can focus. But the in-between time, as we adjust to it, is likely to be filled with things like a lot of emotional dysregulation.
So how do you handle that as a parent? Let's say your kid's going to school in the fall, and now the new rule is no cell phones in the classroom. How do you get them ready?
This is what I'm trying to talk to as many people as I can about, because I think we have the potential of this going really well if we do begin to talk about it. Mr. Rogers, who was my all-time hero, always said that whatever is mentionable is manageable. So the biggest thing that I think parents can do is start talking about this now, and then educators can start talking about it in the classroom, and not just about we're putting our phones away, but about the reality that will exist when we do. I think the first thing parents can do, and educators, is be very empathic and very aware of their own modeling. You know, if a parent is sitting on their phone all the time saying, put your phone away, it's not very effective. But if we can start really complex and hard conversations with empathy, saying, I know this is going to be very challenging for you, and I know when you put that phone in that bag, that doesn't mean that your attention is suddenly available to class. You may be thinking a lot about what's going on there. And how can I support you through that? I think the other things that parents and educators can do is really start talking honestly about what it's like to feel awkward, because our phones really rescue us from those awkward moments. We have something we can be distracted with, and especially for adolescents who are going through particularly awkward times in their development, it's an easy escape. So if we can start talking about what do you do when you feel awkward, how can you live through an awkward moment and sort of laugh it off. Another part of that is talking about emotional regulation. We know, and there is just a wealth of research, that smartphone use is correlated and causally implicated for mental health concerns like anxiety and depression, also body image concerns. Right? And so if we can start talking about how we feel when we put our phone down and the anxiety that comes up, and give our kids some tools. So like a simple tool is when you think about your phone and you start wondering what's going on in social media, or what text have I missed, or what is my video game team doing, to just teach your teen to either take a quick box breath, which is just breathing like in a square, where you take a breath for the count of 4, hold it for the count of 4, release it for the count of 4, and hold for the count of 4. or help them develop the skill of doing just a really quick 5 senses scan. Okay, so I'm feeling anxious about my phone. What is one thing right now that I can see that catches my visual attention? Can I find something to smell? Do I hear something that's interesting to me?
Yeah.
Can I feel the fabric of my, outfit or the feeling of the desk? Anything that just gives them a tool to help with that nervous, awkward feeling is going to be hugely helpful.
Should parents start saying, okay, now before school starts, let's have you put your phone away for 2 hours and build up to 6 hours?
Yeah, what I would say is everybody in the family does that.
Okay.
And I would say we have to start small. That's the thing I have learned after, now 10 years or 20 years of doing this research and talking to thousands of adolescents and college students, is that if we could start with 10 minutes of being bored, of doing nothing. The Dutch call it niksen, which means to do nothing deliciously.
Oh.
And we have maybe some fidgets around or some things to do with our hands or something beautiful to listen to. But we really take 10 minutes and we start to enjoy that.
Yeah.
The research tells us that there's also a brain benefit to that. It builds the prefrontal cortex. And then once you've accomplished 10 minutes as a family, then you bump it up to 30 minutes. Then you bump it up to an hour.
Great idea.
But anything we can do to make it actionable, realistic, and practical is going to help.
Oh my gosh, Doreen. All right, Doreen's book is Device, Balancing Life and Technology in a Digital World. She's also holding a free Zoom class on August 20th at noon on how to prepare for a phone-free fall. Doreen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.